Hey, thanks for watching today. This video is going to cover Oklahoma's 2024 tax deed auction season. It's a very brief season, but it's pretty popular. These tax deeds are very desirable for tax investors. And so we're going to talk about the opportunity available. We're going to talk about how to buy, how to bid, how to find and research these properties. And we're going to just take a look at the maps at first just to see some of the properties here in Oklahoma City and just south in Cleveland County. We'll also take a look at Tulsa up here. There are quite a few properties peppered around the city there. And what we'll do is break this video up into chapters. So if you want, you can skip ahead if you don't want to see sort of the background on the auction, some of the market totals, and how these opportunities size up. And then the second half of this video, if you want to skip to that, is just going to cover looking through the auctions and seeing what's in there firsthand, and of course how to buy or bid on these things. So yeah, if you want to jump ahead, feel free. Otherwise, we're going to get going on some of the background information for Oklahoma tax deed auctions. So how do these auctions work? Basically, just to start from the beginning, there's a state law that the counties in Oklahoma have transitioned from tax liens to tax deeds. This was in recent years, so it's not like exactly breaking news on this, but tax deeds are the new thing. And while tax liens are still issued, they're very much behind the scenes until they become tax deeds. And what this really means is that the tax liens are issued and held by the county when a property is delinquent, but they're not sold publicly until those liens have matured all the way into tax deeds. And at that point, that's when the lien and then ultimately the deed will go to auction. And these auctions are going to use a premium bid format. It simply means you're going to bid up and start at the minimum bid and just keep bidding up until the highest bidder wins. The auctions are in person, in contrast with a lot of states these days that have online auctions. You may have personal feelings about this, but in my experience, in-person auctions can be advantageous because you have less competition from people that are not willing to go to Oklahoma in this case. So you don't have online bidders. And you may have proxy bidders where people send bids in with somebody else, but ultimately, you might have less competition. One thing to call out specifically in Oklahoma on the auction calendar for this year is that most of the counties seem to be auctioning on the same day. So the downside of being in-person auctions is that unless you can split into multiple people, or if you have a staff, a team, family members, or otherwise people who can go proxy bid for you, it's very tough to bid across multiple counties or multiple auctions. So that's kind of the downside here. It's not like Arkansas or some of those states where they carve out a season and space out the auctions in a really nice way, but not everybody can be Arkansas. They just do it the best. So Oklahoma, in this case, you're going to need to pick a county, or however many people you have on your team, you can pick that many counties and go to those auctions and essentially pick and choose that way. And one more note about that before I move on is that you could almost, probably on speculation here, say that the larger auctions are going to have more people show up to those. So if you have an auction with 700-800 properties, I think you're going to have a larger crowd than some of the auctions that might have 100 to 200 properties. Again, can't guarantee any of this. You could have 1,000 people show up to a tiny auction and there's just nothing you can do about it. So you're going to have to guess and pick your auction carefully. The winners, like the winning bidder at one of these auctions, they're awarded what's called a resale deed, which is essentially a tax deed. And just worth noting here too that when Oklahoma talks about their tax deed auctions, a lot of times they're called resales or resale auctions. So if you're Googling and need to use the right terminology to find something, you could look for Oklahoma resale or resale auctions, and that might help you out. So a quick note about the unsold tax deeds. Those leftovers can be purchased directly from the county when available. I will say from experience, some of the even larger counties might have 1 or 2 tax deeds left over and a tiny inventory. I think Oklahoma County may be the only one that has a large amount. I think they have a couple hundred. But for the most part, there are not many leftovers, at least throughout the year. I think your best chance is going to be looking for those leftovers immediately after the auction and watching daily until they are released and see if anything good makes it into the leftovers before somebody else buys it, because the good stuff goes fast when there's so few leftovers. So we're going to just restate what I just went through, but with pictures this time, and talk about what is that life cycle for an Oklahoma tax deed and really a tax delinquent property. Is that the property goes tax delinquent, and then the county in October of each year issues tax liens on all the delinquent properties. So that tax lien that is issued in October is then held by the county for 2 years and 8 months until you get to the annual county tax deed auction. So then every June, or really in leading up to June, the county will essentially pick up all the liens that are going to hit their 2-year, 8-month period, and they're going to package those up into these tax deed auctions, or resale auctions as they were. And so that it just means those liens were eligible for that tax deed foreclosure to occur. And then after the auction, anything left over goes over the counter, which means the unsold deeds are going to be held by the county, and they will sell them to you if they provide a mechanism for that. So let's switch gears and let's talk about how big are the tax deed auctions. What is this opportunity like? I know it's very popular this time of year. Oklahoma is sort of the state of the week, I don't know, the state of the month, if you will, for tax deed investors. People get very excited about these. So what exactly are in these auctions? Let's take a 5-county sample of 100 or more parcels advertised, and we'll just take a peek at like how these compare. And the real spoiler here is that they're all over the place. So right off the bat, you see Oklahoma and Tulsa have a similar advertisement size, over 1,000 parcels, but the structure and values are way off. Oklahoma, 3/4 have structures and a total value of the auction of $136 million, whereas Tulsa, about half have structures and only $54 million valuation. I would attribute that probably to the type of land in the auction. I mean, as it says here, obviously there's more structures in Oklahoma's auction, so that county should have a higher value because the structures drive the value up. But it's also possible Tulsa just has more agricultural land, or land that's just not suitable for structures. It could be even zoning. But the point is, you're not going to see consistent ratios from county to county. So let's move on. Oklahoma and Tulsa, similar sized auctions, very different makeup of what's in the auction. And actually, before we move on, while you're picking your county to invest in, if you are a land investor or investing only in residential structures, this could really steer you to one auction or the other. So moving on, LeFlore, Cleveland, and Bryan are very similar sized auctions, but again, they're all over the place in their structure percentage. LeFlore's 60% structures, Cleveland 3/4, Bryan 55%. Probably worth noting that Cleveland is a suburb of Oklahoma County, so it has a very similar makeup as far as structure percentage and probably valuation if you averaged it out. But looking to the far right column in those last 3 auctions, the valuations are also all over the place here. 3 similar sized auctions, and again, Cleveland has a much higher value than LeFlore or Bryan. So I think the takeaway here is understand the makeup of an auction and the percentage of properties that fit your strategy before you get on a plane or drive in your car and go to the auction, just because you'd hate to go to the wrong auction and show up at the one that does not have enough properties in your strategy. One last note, if you were to just average it all out, 62% have structures across all the counties, but again, not that helpful since they are very diverse in their makeup. So this is a very important note about Oklahoma auctions, and specifically the larger counties. How many tax deeds actually make it from the advertisement of what's being auctioned all the way to the actual auction, and then the date of, and what's actually available to buy? The reason I bring this up is that redemptions are a thing in every market, but in Oklahoma, we see some high redemption rates, and this just means in advance of the auction, they're going to take your original advertised list of properties and start subtracting properties off of that list as they're redeemed. This just means an owner has redeemed by paying all those delinquent taxes. They're just trying to keep it out of the auction. So let's take a look at Tulsa. First of all, we have several years of history since we've been tracking Tulsa. And you'll notice the 3 years, the advertised auctions in that column that says advertised, very similar counts. So we're over 1,000 properties. But then if you go over to the third column of how many actually went to auction, You notice in the first year, 2/3 or more fell out of the advertisement before the auction began. So you had 436 actually made it to auction. In 2023, we started off with 1,268 and 1,001 properties redeemed, and only 267 actually made it to the auction. And then this year, we're tracking 1,143 properties in the original advertisement, which is now down to 703. And that little asterisk is basically denoting that they're not finished yet. There's still, 7 days roughly until the auction happens. And in fact, while I was making this video and preparing today, I watched this number go down a little bit more for Tulsa. So let's switch over and talk about Oklahoma County in comparison. I don't have great numbers for 2022, unfortunately, but if we look at this year and last year, this year's original advertisement was a lot bigger with 1,220 properties, and you can see it is trending downward to 790 remaining, so we've already lost 400 some odd properties. But if you look at last year, 3/4 of the properties roughly fell out of the auction before it began. So they went from 887 advertised to 229. So I think it's fair to say in both of these large counties that we're going to see a lot of redemptions, and we're not finished yet. We're going to see this 703 in Tulsa remaining and 790 in Oklahoma County remaining. By the time you see this video, that number is probably even lower. So while you're, again, selecting the auction to go to, make sure you're not just looking at the original advertisement, but you need to figure out how many properties are remaining. And of course, we can help you with that, and the software I'm about to show you is going to keep track of that, which is a great segue to let's go to our live demo to show you how to research these tax deed auctions. This is Parcelfair, and this is, of course, the YouTube channel is Parcelfair's YouTube channel, and so that's why we're talking about it. And if you want to, we can just start off with Oklahoma City. And remember, Cleveland County is just to the south of it. We talked about both of those, so I have them on the map right now. And what I'm doing is just kind of eyeballing properties. If I call this helicopter mode because you're sort of just flying around. If we want to switch over to satellite view, we have that option in the top left. It can really help with not only the terrain, but the building composition. You notice this is dense development just south of Interstate 44 and south and east, I guess. It looks like 44 takes a bend there. So that sort of gives you the makeup of the property there. Whereas if you move outward, you'll see properties like this out in the countryside that are, this one's 105 acres. So let's take a look at it. Of course, the Google car did not drive out into the countryside. That's why we have the no imagery on this particular property. Don't worry, I'll show you one that has imagery. But we're looking at 105 acres and a total valuation of somehow $24,000. I'm surprised it's so cheap. But ultimately, what you might want to do if you're trying to dig into this property is we have these research links below the satellite view here. And any one of these links will take you to sort of deep, rich county sources that are just going to give you a lot of information, like the assessor report to begin with. And so we take you straight to the assessor report. You didn't have to search for it. It's just one click away if you want to go look at a lot of the history for this property, the value history, just different things about it. You can get all kinds, like tax district, whatever you want to see here, and plenty of other links where you can go map it or view the taxes. There's a lot of links even from this report at the assessor. And on that same note, let's check out the treasurer's report here, which shows us the taxes owed. This changes actually over time, so it's good to check in on this. You'll notice this is as of June 3rd at 4:17 p.m. So this is a moving target, and it's good to check on this particular link if you want to know how much are due in back taxes. These other links are helpful too. There's another treasurer report here that will help you out. I was kind of hitting a dead end here. This basically, you could keep going as long as you want and just look at county sources, but it's important to show you this purchase option right here, because this upcoming auction, the green button, this is your key to getting to the auction, registering for the auction, and even just knowing what you're doing. The first link is how to register for the tax sale, and that'll take you to, it looks like a document on, actually takes you to their site. And the second one is just information about the tax sale, and the last one is the actual list of properties going to auction. So that's a useful thing to go through as well. So we looked at a large piece of land. Let's go back to our map and let's check out something on more on the residential side. Incidentally, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and change this over to Oklahoma. I was already looking at it, and we can, let me clear my filters first of all. You'll notice there's 1,012 properties. That's because it's adding the auction properties and the over-the-counters together. So if you want to just see over-the-counters, you can click on this over-the-counter option, and there are 222 of those available, and we'll show you how to buy those if you're looking for over-the-counters. But we're going to look for upcoming auctions, this particular option here, which there's 790 to choose from. And now let's, we looked at vacant land, so let's look at improvements only. 554 properties that have some type of structure on them. Let's go ahead and put a total value minimum in at $20,000 just to make sure it's not, let's go higher than that because that didn't take many out. Let's put $50,000. Wow. Okay, so 500 properties worth more than 50 grand. Let's put a minimum of 1 acre and a maximum of, let's say, 5, just so that we can, okay, wow, that really, so that took a lot of the options out. If we're looking for residential properties, let's go with a 1/4 acre even. So yeah, if we're looking at that sweet spot of maybe something that could be a rental property, I'd maybe kick it even down to, I don't know, 0.15, just do whatever fits your strategy. And let's look for no bigger than 1/2 acre. So yeah, it's still 367 properties, quite a few to look at. But let's go with that. And so now we're looking at 367 properties. And let's, this is the kind of surfing through the list you might do, is just clicking on these like this. And then let's just click on this one and take a peek at it. So what we're looking at is a vacant, right here, tax deed property in Oklahoma worth $158,000. Remember, I can go to the treasurer report and see the taxes owed. So I know that taxes owed are at least $3,800 and change. And let's see, if we wanted to actually bid on this property, it's on 0.16 acres. I could click on the upcoming auction and have all this information here with links to get me set up on that auction on June 10th. The panorama view is useful underneath the street view image if you want to check out the house in detail, get a closer look. Remember, this is not real time. One of these trees could be on the house. We wouldn't know until you went and looked at it yourself. So if you're getting serious about this property, you could go check it out. This is useful to look at the neighborhood though, and we see we're across the street from that. I thought it was a playground. I guess that's actually a house. And get a feel for, is there new development? Does it look like people are taking care of the property? I see a mixed bag. This house is obviously taking care of their property and some of the other ones, but then you see the boarded up house with bars in the window. So it could be this neighborhood's in flux. I don't know enough about Oklahoma to tell you, but if you understand the market, this area might be useful for you to understand and just look through before you buy a property like this. Okay, so let's say I wanted to save this property for later. I'm going to actually just create a list here and call it my Oklahoma. Okay, I'll just call it my shopping list. And so now this property is in that list if I want to come back later and find it. A lot of times people write down the address or the parcel number, and you just need to either create a list or add it to your favorites right here so that you can come back later and find it. You can also add notes here. I could put a note in to say check out neighborhood first, so we know to check out the neighborhood before we bid on it. And if I had pictures, I would attach those here. Any kind of pictures or documents I wanted to attach just to keep track of all the information on one place for this property. So that gets us pretty far down the road in Oklahoma County. Let's fly on over to Tulsa. Actually, I need to run a search in Tulsa first. Clear those filters out. So Tulsa, we're looking at 704 properties. And if I were to look at the improvements and just see, remember, less than half have improvements, and let's set a valuation of $50,000 on that too. So half of them fall out again, and let's put a max acreage at 1 acre to make sure they're kind of like residential, and that's probably good enough to go with for now. So we're looking at basically the same kind of property in a different county, and I'm going to go to satellite view so I can. Wow, these neighborhoods look nice. So same story here. We're looking at the tax deed auction. It's valued at $115,000. The difference in Tulsa County is they do post the amount due or that opening bid in their auction advertisement, unlike Oklahoma County. So we know that the opening bid should be $7,737. And moving down the page, we can see this auction is going to have a different location, different links to register, different websites, but it is on the same day, June 10th. So remember, June 10th is a big day for Oklahoma auctions. But we can click on this register link and get to the registration PDF. We can go view the information on the tax sale here. And while we're on this, this is the list of properties is right here. You can view what went to auction, but this list does not show you what fell out of the auction or was redeemed. You have to go to the second link right here to get a different PDF in a different format to view the properties that were removed from the auction. So again, the software in Parcelfair does this for you every day, so you don't have to go calculate and take this list and subtract this list from it, because we already do that. And similar to Oklahoma County, we have a quick link right over to the assessor report. And I have to say, honestly, I like Tulsa's better. It looks a lot nicer. So when you're looking at this property report, you have the general tab, the values breakdown, sales history, pictures of the property, and even a map of where the property is. So it's a nice site they put together to help you out here. I'd give it an A+. And again, we're just trying to link you to the direct county record as fast as possible. So that's this link for the assessor property report. We can take you to the treasurer's website, or also even the county's parcel map if you want to just compare. This takes you straight to that property, and that was the link right here under research links. Again, you could add this to your Oklahoma shopping list if you have one like I do. Of course, I'm going to take it off of there because I need a Tulsa shopping list for this one. And save that property to the Tulsa shopping list. And we'll put a note on it, and we'll just say nice neighborhood for this one. And this helps me kind of keep my sanity as I'm doing my research. The last thing you want to do is look at 1,000 properties and not remember which is which. So keeping notes, keeping lists, it's a very helpful thing to do along the way. So back to our map. Let's play around with some of these search filters a little bit more. Let's go for vacant land now. And I'm going to look in the whole state, all the counties that we're looking at. And I'm going to do a minimum acreage of 50 acres. And let's just go with that. Oh, wow. We only had 2 parcels. Let me change one thing. I'm going to leave it at all parcel types, because some of this vacant land, or I'm sorry, some of the larger land tracts could have improvements. So I'm not going to limit by that. Let's just do 50 acres as my only filter. And now I have 6 parcels, so it didn't change much. But if you were looking for big land, this is where you would do that. This would really hone in your search. These top 2 are in Bryan County right here. And so it's a different county. You're going to see a different structure here for the auction layout. We do see it is $4,275 is the opening bid, but you'll notice the treasurer's office in Durant Courthouse is where the auction is going to be on the same day, and just different website to go to get more information. And one little side trip here, OKTaxRolls.com is a good site for a lot of the smaller counties especially. You'll notice the big counties are not available on here, but the counties in blue, I guess it's even some of the smaller counties are. You can go to a county like this one, and if you were looking for their auction list, it's usually under menu, other links, and let's see, did I find one? Yeah, the resale list for June. So here's an example list. This looks like it's a photocopy of a piece of paper. So this is an example of how you would find one of those lists for a resale auction, that OK Tax Rolls website. I'll put it in the comments too in case you're doing some independent research. But back to our Bryan County 51-acre property. If you wanted to bid on it again, you would follow these instructions to go to the tax sale, register, and then show up in person for that. And we also have links to the county sources here. They are going to, actually, we already went there, the OK Tax Rolls website where you would search for this property if you wanted to. So that, let's see, let's move one more. Those top two are Bryan County, then Oklahoma County. LeFlore County had one right here that looks like a lot of heavily wooded area, and 3 in LeFlore. Let's look at the one in Oklahoma County. It's, oh yeah, the 105, we already saw it. So, so yeah, that's how you would really narrow in on some parcels quickly. It is also worth noting, we took requests from users on which counties to run this year. And of course, we do the major counties, whether anybody asks or not. But we had a little bit of a response. We only had a handful requested. I do have to admit that 2 or 3 counties that we loaded, we had to take off the website because the mapping data that we pulled from the county did not agree very well with the auction list. So we didn't feel confident enough in the mapping data to put it in front of you, and so we pulled those auctions, and unfortunately it left us with 3 fewer auctions than we would have had. But anyways, for some of these states we're getting started in, like Iowa, Oklahoma, Nevada, we'll do the county auctions by request because they're so different, and we don't have a lot of people really looking at this yet. But Oklahoma, your big counties are here if you want to check them out. And other than that, if you haven't tried Parcelfair before, we have a 7-day free trial. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, this will give you, that subscribing will let you know when we have new videos up. And we post other information out there as well. If you want to like this video, of course, it helps us out on our channel too. And lastly, if you just want to talk, we love starting up conversations. We love to share our experience as well as hear your experience in different markets. So we'd love to get that dialogue going. You can reach out to us on the YouTube comments. We also have this contact form on our website. I will personally email you back if you send us a contact request here. So all of that was a mouthful, and I hope this was useful for you. And best of luck to you in your Oklahoma auctions and any other ones that you're attending, and have a great week.